Morning, students. So, in the previous class, we have seen what is genetic material, what are nucleic acids, how many types are there, how nucleic acids are organized in the form of a chemical structure, chemical composition of nucleic acids, that is whether DNA or RNA, which are having three types of components, that is sugar molecules, pentose sugars, nitrogen bases, nitrogen containing compounds, and phosphoric acid in the form of phosphate groups. So these three chemical components joins in such a way to form a nucleotide. This nucleotide is called a monomer. So many such nucleotides are joined end to end, one above the other, to form a polynucleotide chain. So DNA is that biomolecule, macromolecule, which consists of two polynucleotide chains made up of so many nucleotides, and these two polynucleotide chains, as discovered by, proposed by Watson and Crick, is called double helix. Double helix. And these double helix, two polynucleotide chains, they were parallel to each other and anti-parallel to each other. DNA consists of two polynucleotide chains. Which are parallel and anti-parallel. Anti-parallel to each other. This anti-parallelity is because of phosphodiester bonds present between every two nucleotides. So anti-parallel means in the DNA molecule, which is having two strands, one is having 3' here OH group, 5' phosphate. This strand, if we want to analyze here, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, to the fifth carbon atom, phosphate is added. To the first, N2 base is added. This is one nucleotide. Another nucleotide, N2 base is added. To the fifth carbon here, third carbon, between fifth and third carbon, there is a phosphodiester bond. This phosphodiester bond. Again, this is another nucleotide. Again, another nucleotide, N2 base, second, third, fourth, fifth. Here, phosphodiester bond. So here phosphodiester bond formation is from fifth prime, third prime, fifth prime, third prime, fifth prime, third, like this. So this is called 5' to Third, 3' orientation, or the polarity of this strand based upon the phosphodiester bond formation 5' to 3' direction. 5', then it is bonded with 3, again 5, 3, again 5, 3, continuous. And generally, if another molecule is there, another nucleotide is there, again 5, 3. Here, polynucleotide 2 chains, another polynucleotide chain here in reverse direction, first carbon atom, N2 base, second, third. If any nucleotide is here, phosphodiester bond. 3', 5', first, second, third, fourth. First, N2 base, again first N2 base. So here the direction of phosphodiester bond formation starts with 3' to 5', 3' to 5', 3' goes on. So this is, so the polarity of this strand is 5' to 3' based upon phosphodiester bond formation. Here the polarity is 5' to 3'. Opposite direction. One moves in this direction, one moves in this direction. This is called anti-parallelity. And this anti-parallelity observed and proposed by Watson and Crick, which facilitates the DNA as genetic material to perform its functions of transmission of traits from one generation to another generation. And here, in between the bases, hydrogen bonds are formed. For example, if adenine is there, it should bond with thymine. So the conclusion of Watson and Crick that the polynucleotide chains, 2 chains are there and they are bonded with N2 bases. Here, these phosphate and sugar alternate molecules are the backbones. Phosphate and sugar alternative molecules are the backbone, and inside N2 bases will project, and these a nucleotide bonds with thymine, another nucleotide, and these A and T are called complementary bases. Bases which forms a pair which is called base pair. They were complementary to each other. In a DNA molecule, always A should bond with T. T should bond with A, no other alternate. In the same way, here, guanine always bonds with cytosine. Guanine always bonds with, these two are called complementary bases, which are called base pairs. So hallmark proposition of complementary base pairs, always C bonds with G or always G bonds with C. Always T bonds with A or always A bonds with T. ATGC are complementary to each other, this is called base complementation. And it is the hallmark proposition in, and how he got concluded for hallmark proposition like base complementation. It is because of Chargaff's chemical analysis. Chargaff's analysis says in the DNA amount of DNA in the DNA molecule. Second point, amount of purines is equal to pyrimidines. Amount of purines A plus G is equal to T plus C. A by T and G by C equals to 1. If purines are 50%, pyrimidines are 50%. Or total AT by GC is equal to 1. Here R A plus C is equal to G plus C. 50%, 50%. A plus G. And here, based upon Chargaff's base equivalence ratio, or he proposed complementary base pairing. With this, what we are able to get is, if we know the sequence of N2 bases in one strand, automatically we can predict the sequence of N2 bases in the other strand, because base complementarity is existing. Compulsorily, if in one chain polynucleotide, this is the sequence A, G, C, T, A, G, something. So automatically, keeping in view of base complementation, on the other polynucleotide chain, there should be T, there should be C, G, A, T. This is called base complementarity, complementary base pairs, which is existing in the DNA. Now, if complementary base is not existing, if they are not following these rules, for example, if a purine bonds with another purine, a purine which is having double ringed compound, another purine double ringed compound, so the distance of the DNA will be more wider. If a pyrimidine bonds with another pyrimidine, for example, a pyrimidine thymine bonds with cytosine, the distance of the DNA polynucleotides will be very narrow. So the even distance in the polynucleotide does not occur, and Chargaff's equivalence law will become waste, no use. So according to Chargaff's base equivalence ratio, compulsorily purines and pyrimidines in 50%, 50% are equal in concentration. It means always a purine should bond with a pyrimidine, or a pyrimidine should bond with a purine. And question here comes, which purine bonds with which pyrimidine, or which pyrimidine bonds with which purine? They have given adenine always bonds with thymine and guanine always bonds with cytosine, or thymine always bonds with adenine, cytosine always bonds with guanine. These two are called complementary. So complementary base pairs enables us to identify, if we identify one strand sequence, we can easily predict another strand sequences. And according to the double standard model of DNA double helix, if the two strands are separated, for example, if the two strands which are separated based upon the base complementarity, they can develop into new. So one DNA polynucleotide chain, that is two chains which are bonded together with hydrogen bonds. If they were separated, they become template. Template means parental strands. For example, to understand this, let us see this. This is one strand having A, T, G, C, G, T, A. C. So this is another strand which is complementary. A, T, A, C, G, A, T, G. So these are called two polynucleotide chains which are complementary to each other. Base complementation is existing. Both are parallel and anti-parallel. Parallel and anti-parallel. One moves in 5' to 3, another moves in 3' to 5 based upon the phosphodiester bond. And whenever adenine or a purine bonds with a pyrimidine thymine, or whenever guanine bonds with a cytosine, the distance of these two will be always approximately most constant. So it is not going to show any change in the width of the or diameter of the DNA molecule. And when these strands are separated, for example, like this, by breakdown of the bonds between these two hydrogen bonds. So what happens? They will be like this. For example, A is here, T is here, GCG, G, C, G, AT, GCG, TAC, TAC. These are T, A, C, G, C, AT, TA, GC, CG, G, A, T, G. If these two strands are separated, for example, like this. Now, these separated strands are considered as template strands. Template. Template. Template means parent. Parent. What does it mean? A parent will give offsprings, children, siblings, next generation. Here also, based upon these two separated strands, keeping in view of the base complementation, new DNA strands can be produced. T, TA, GC, CG, GC, TA, AT, CG, bonds. Here another same A, T, G, C, G, T, A, C, bonds. So initially when we saw this, here one DNA molecule having two polynucleotide chains. When they separate, this base complementation enables them to make two DNA strands AT, AT, TA, TA, GC, GC, CG, CG, GC. Both are identical to each other, same. So one DNA strand is going to show a process of copying into two, which is called exactly replicas of its own. One polynucleotide, one DNA molecule having two polynucleotide chains which are like this, anti-parallel. Because of base complementation, when they separate, they act as template. Template. So a template is that parental material which is able to produce a new DNA strand. These two are same and they are similar to the main strand. These two are same. So there is a process of production of same copies which is called replication or duplication, innate property of genetic material with which it is going to transmit the characters from one generation to the next generation. If it is not having this base complementation, or it is not having that Chargaff's base equivalence ratio, there will be no discovery of genetic material. It cannot fulfill the properties of genetic material which will carry the information, build up the characters. So here, after understanding what are the chemicals with which nucleosides and nucleotides are made, what are nucleotides? So many nucleotides. How many nucleotides are there? What is the length of the DNA molecule? Length of the DNA molecule measured by the number of nucleotides present in that molecule, either in the form of nucleotides or in the form of base pairs. So number of bases we will see in the coming classes. How many are present in human beings? How many are present in other organisms? In bacteria, viruses, various examples are cited in the textbook. So here DNA is that molecule having this type of configurations. Now, salient features of DNA as proposed by Watson and Crick in double helix. What he has given first concept, DNA is made up of two polynucleotide chains which are parallel and anti-parallel to each other, and in that purines and pyrimidines are in equal amounts, and backbone is made up of sugar and phosphate molecules. Inner projecting structures are called bases. Bases bond with the opposite bases. A is equal to T and G is equal to C, and always in a DNA molecule, the distance between every one nucleotide, another nucleotide, the distance between these two nucleotides is always, according to Watson and Crick, 0.34 nanometers or 3.4 angstroms. And by the X-ray diffraction studies of Wilkins, Rosalind Franklin, they have given the idea DNA is having two polynucleotide chains which are anti-parallel, but they were always not parallel, but they were twisted. They were twisted at some places at a distance of 3.4 nanometers or 34 angstroms. 3.4 nanometers here at a distance of 0.34 nanometers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, approximately into 3.4 nanometers or 3.4 angstroms into 10, 34 angstroms. So in the DNA molecule, which is having two polynucleotide chains anti-parallel to each other, side by side, held up with hydrogen bonds, at one place they were going to twist helical structure, a turn, one coil, one turn, pitch, gyre or twist. All these terms given to a folding in the DNA molecule, a folding. These foldings, a twisted, helically twisted structure, and this one complete term, we can identify, we can study this in the form of simplest explanation. This is one complete term, but in this complete like this. So in the diagram, one complete term For information, simple information, we can join. This is called one coil. One coil from here to here. In this coil, what are present? Here, N2 bases are present. Nucleotides are present. Phosphate, sugar and N2 base. Phosphate, sugar and N2 base. Like this, one pair, second pair, third pair, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 base pairs. Here the bonding is hydrogen bonds. Ten base pairs. One base pair, another base. These two adjacent nucleotides of the same polynucleotides are not called pairs. Adjacent are not considered as pairs. Opposite are called pairs, which are having base complementation, complementary base pairing. They are existing in the form of complement. 10 base pairs is equal to 10 into 2, 20 nucleotides. So in one coil consists of 10 base pairs, which is equal to or 20 nucleotides. And the distance or length of one coil is equal to 3.4 nanometers or 34 angstroms. Why it is 3.4 nanometers or 35? The distance between every two is 0.34 nanometers. 0.34 into 10, 34 nanometers. The distance between two is 3.4 angstroms or 3.4 angst. 3.4 into 10, 34. So the length of one coil or one complete turn of DNA is having 20 nucleotides or 10 base pairs, which is equal to one turn or one gyre or one twist, pitch, coil, helix. Now, when they observed by base complementation and always adenine bonds with thymine and always thymine bonds with adenine and always guanine bonds with cytosine and cytosine bonds with guanine, no adenine bonds with another purine like guanine, no thymine bonds with another pyrimidine like cytosine, and they always maintain a diameter of, because of this, the diameter of or width of the DNA molecule, two polynucleotide chains, is 2 nanometers or 20 angstroms. One chain is equal to 10 angstroms with little distance for the hydrogen bonds. And always this 20 angstroms or 2 nanometers diameter is maintained constant. Why the diameter 20 angstroms or 2 nanometers is maintained constant? Because always one purine bonds with a pyrimidine. Always one purine, one pyrimidine, or one pyrimidine, one purine, or one purine. So wherever you go along the length of the total length of the DNA molecule, always a purine bonds with a pyrimidine, and a pyrimidine. That's why it is able to maintain this width constantly, approximately constantly. And the DNA in between the base pair, this is one nucleotide, another nucleotide base pair. These two are called base pairs, BP. A base pair, another base pair, the distance between two base pairs 3.4 angstroms or 0.34 nanometers. Like that, there is a possibility of 10 base pairs. In each strand, 10 nucleotides, 10 nucleotides. Means 10 base pairs, 20 nucleotides. And when they were going to give the salient features, they observed this. These two strands here. This is one strand, another strand. Here, if it is 5 prime, 3 prime, it is 3 prime. So both are opposite and twisted. During twisting, so the two strands which are having a twist, a curvature, this curvature is in such a way, in three-dimensional structure they looks like bond here, but it is having the same distance. It is having same distance. The twisting is in such a way, the angle of curvature between two base pairs, the angle of curvature between every two base pairs, this is one base pair, another base. The angle of curvature between every two base pairs, it gives 36 degrees. The curvature or the twist between two pairs, so here to here, these two pairs, when they were twisted between here to this, the twist that makes a curvature of 30 degrees, 36 degrees. So there are 10 base pairs, 36 into 10, 360 degrees of curvature. Because of this 360 degrees of curvature or 36 degrees of curvature, by the twisting, the complementary base pairs which are existing with hydrogen bonds, there is a possibility whenever adenine comes nearer to thymine, whenever adenine comes due to this twist, whenever adenine comes nearer to thymine, there is a possibility of two hydrogen bonds. Always adenine bonds with thymine, with two hydrogen bonds. How it is possible? Because the twist is like that. So that was the greatness of creating this model of DNA. The twist of DNA in such a way to form two hydrogen bonds. And whenever this twist is coming, bringing the cytosine and guanine and cytosine together, whenever it is bringing guanine and cytosine together, there is a possibility only three hydrogen. Guanine always bonds with cytosine with three hydrogen bonds. Guanine bonds with cytosine always with three. This is called the degree of curvature of twist.
helical model of DNA, whenever it is having two anti-parallel strands with different polarity, opposite polarity, they were coming and they were not always parallel. They were mixed. They were forming a twist. This twist is making in between adenine and thymine always 2 hydrogen bonds, between guanine and cytosine always 3 hydrogen bonds, and as per the Chargaff's rule, in the famous model of DNA double helix, Watson and Crick, they have given always a purine bonds with a pyrimidine and pyrimidine bonds with purine. There is no other alternate. A bonds with T only, T bonds with A only, G bonds with C only, C bonds with G only. Then only they are able to maintain the width, distance of the two strands, that is 20 angstroms or 2 nanometers. 0.34 nanometers or 3.4 angstroms. So a coil is having 34 angstroms or 3.4 nanometers. In this coil, 10 base pairs are there, which is nothing but equal to 20 nucleotides. And if we know the amount of a particular N2 base in a given sample of DNA, if we know the amount of a particular N2 base in a given sample of DNA, we can easily identify the amount of other 3 N2 bases. For example, a DNA is having, so one coil is equal to 34 angstroms or 3.4 nanometers is equal to, so that is formula, a type of equation compulsorily. One coil is equal to 10 base pairs or 20 nucleotides. Here in the famous DNA, which of the following are equal in concentrations, equal in amounts? When a question comes like this, in this phosphates and ribose sugars are equal, means one phosphate, one ribose sugar, one nucleotide is equal to. Purines and pyrimidines are equal in ratio. Always one purine bonds with a pyrimidine, one pyrimidine bonds with a purine. Always hydrogen bonds, 2 hydrogen bonds between A and T, 3 hydrogen bonds between C and G. One end is always terminated by 5 prime, another end is by 3 prime. The reverse, phosphodiester bonds. And how this DNA is having stability? Which of the components confers stability to the DNA? The hydrogen bonds between bases are 2 nucleotide chains confers stability. So hydrogen bond is holding these 2 chains together and maintaining this width. And also, in addition to the hydrogen bonds which confer stability, the arrangement of nucleotides one above the other, one nucleotide above another on this another. So the arrangement of nucleotides one above the other like stacks, the plane of arrangement of nucleotides, plane of arrangement of nucleotides one above the other confers stability in addition to hydrogen bonds. In addition to hydrogen bonds, plane of arrangement of nucleotides one above the other, these two responsible for the stability of DNA polynucleotide chains. So always the distance should be 20 angstroms or 2 nanometers between the two strands. Two polynucleotide chains. The backbone of the polynucleotide chains is with phosphate and sugar, alternating molecules. Phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate, sugar. Backbone, phosphate, sugar, or sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate. And the N2 bases are projecting inside. They were outside, they were projecting inside, and always purine bond with pyrimidine, pyrimidine bond with pyrimidine, A bonds with T with 2 hydrogen bonds, or T bonds with A with 2 hydrogen bonds, G bonds with C with 3 hydrogen bonds, C bonds with G with 3, and in a given amount of DNA, the ratios of these is always constant, for a particular species, according to Char, a particular human species, or a particular plant species, animal species, that particular ratio of is constant, and the ratio of these, it varies from one species to, it is not that compulsorily in all species same ratio. So different species, different ratios. And if we know the amount of a particular N2 base, we can identify the other three. How, sir? If you are able to identify neat question, generally they used to ask concept oriented questions. Concept oriented questions. Here, in a DNA molecule, I am giving you hints to identify simplest. Automatically you will learn in course of time. In a DNA molecule having 6 coils, if adenine is adenine is 60, if adenine is 40, so no, number of adenine N2 bases are 40 in a DNA molecule having 6 coils. Find out the amount of or number of cytosine C, or they may ask a complicated, find out the amount of cytosine C, this is 1. B, find out the total number of hydrogen bonds present in that DNA. So 2 questions they have given here based on the same concept. Explanation. They may give various options. 6 coils, answer or solution. 6 coils in DNA. Each coil 20 nucleotides. So 6 coils into 20. 120 nucleotides. So in the given sample of DNA which is having 6 coils, at the rate of each coil 20 nucleotides are 10 base pairs. We have seen. So 6 coils is equal to 6 into 20, 120 nucleotides. In these 120 nucleotides, they have given adenine is 40. If A is 40, according to Chargaff's rule, A is always equal to T. T is always equal to A. So if A is 40, it means T also 40. Now let us see. If A is 40, T also 40, A 40, T 40, total 80. In the total 120 nucleotides, 80 nucleotides are made up of 80 nucleotides are made up of A and T. The remaining, so in 120 minus 80, how many are there? 40 nucleotides are there. What are these 40 nucleotides? These 40 nucleotides, therefore, the 40 nucleotides are for G and C. So, if the amount of cytosine we want, 40 by 2. Forty by 2. So the amount of cytosine is C 20. So guanine also 20. Cytosine 20, guanine 20. 40. 40 plus 80, 120. What are 80? A and T. If we know the amount of one nucleotide, one purine or pyrimidine 1,2 base, we are able to identify that amount of other based upon Chargaff's base equivalence ratio. So in a given amount, adenine and guanine 50%. Here adenine is 40, guanine is 20, 60. Thymine is 40, cytosine is 20, 60. Both is equal to 1. So amount of purines is always equals to amount of pyrimidine, and this is equals to 1 in a given sample of DNA. So both the purines, if we join, it should be get 50%. Both the purines and both the pyrimidines, if we join, should get 50%. Now second question, total number of hydrogen bonds present in that DNA. Total number of hydrogen bonds in that DNA. Always between A and T, 2 hydrogen bonds. Second question, my dear students. Total number of hydrogen bonds present in the DNA. Always A bonds with T with 2 hydrogen bonds. So 40 into 2. 80 hydrogen bonds in between A and T. 40 adenines, 40 thymines. Everyone bonds 2 hydrogen bonds, no? 80. 40 into 2 hydrogen bonds 80 hydrogen bonds between A and T. Now, how many are there? 20 cytosine, 20 guanine. 20 cytosine, 20 guanine. 20 into always between cytosine and guanine. 3 hydrogen bonds. Always between cytosine and guanine, 3 hydrogen bonds. 20 into 3. 60 hydrogen bonds between G and C, because A is equal T double bond, G, C triple bond. Now total number of bonds, total number of hydrogen bonds is equal to 80 plus 60. The answer for this total number of hydrogen bonds present in that DNA is equal to 140. So my dear students, based upon the concept, whatever you have studied or listened, whatever you have practiced, within less than 1 minute, 30 to 40 seconds, if you are in a position to answer, tens, 20s, number of forms of questions are there. They may ask length of the DNA molecule, one coil length is 34 angstroms. Like that, if 5 coils are there, 5 into 34. Or if they give length of the DNA 760 angstroms or nanometers by 34. So you have to get that idea to catch how to answer a particular question. What will be the out of the 4 options, which is the correct option? And out of the 4 correct or wrong sentences, which is correct and which is wrong? So here, always in the DNA double helix structure, they have mentioned their propositions. And finally, they got Nobel Prize for this discovery, which is considered as the greatest discovery in modern biology, 1953. Now, keeping in view of all this, after the discovery and after presenting the DNA double helix model, Francis Crick, he has defined a beautiful proposition of central dogma of molecular biology. Central dogma of molecular biology. What is this central dogma of molecular biology? We will see in the coming classes. All the best.